Hello and welcome into the Duquesne Sports Pregame Show. I'm Jack Morgan, alongside me Nick Fernbaugh, and after what was a weird game against Dayton, you had them in the first half, only down by 3 with leads at different points in the first half. All of a sudden, the hurricane of just the onslaught of points came on, and the Dukes could not keep up with the Flyers, losing yet again in Davidson. This one is a little more manageable. It's at home. It's against the Davidson Wildcats. 7 p.m. tip-off on Wednesday night. Let's talk about it. We'll talk about Dayton first and kind of go from there. It was a rough game for the Dukes, Nick.
It was not a good day for the Dukes, but in all seriousness, though, it was just a calamity of errors. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, because I truthfully don't think it gets much worse than this. That was the single worst half of basketball I think I've seen Duquesne play all year, outside of maybe the first half of Boise State. They were. I mean, I said on the broadcast a few times, I don't think anybody played good. I really don't. I don't think anybody played good in that second half. And I mean, there's a number of bad stats we could talk about. I mean, they just didn't shoot well as a whole. I mean, the 1 for 9 for 3-pointers was rough. 8 for 29 as a whole in the second half. I mean, there was just not a whole lot that really worked out well. And it kind of finished up with the 13 turnovers, which I think a lot of those actually came in the second half. I think it was 5 in the first and 8 in the second half. So, I mean, there was just a lot of those turnovers were really bad. I remember Alex Williams having a really bad one. So, I mean, it just kind of was rough sledding all around. But again, the way I look at this is I don't think you're going to see that kind of half from Duquesne the rest of the year. I don't. I think it's like a 1 of 1, but man, that 1 of 1 was very, very tough to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a tough week for Duquesne as a whole. They were able to pull off that win against LaSalle, but it certainly did not come easy. And now they're going up against a Davidson team who they don't have good historical numbers against. However, they were able to break a 6-game losing streak to them with a win on New Year's Eve in Davidson, North Carolina. And my gosh, was that a game in 5 halves. 89-83 in 2 overtimes. It was an incredible game to watch. But in that game, a key player was Terrence Ginyard, and one would have to think that he has to come up large again tonight or on Wednesday for the Dukes to come away with a win. On the Davidson side of things, they are around that same spot that Duquesne is in. They are a game under them in the standings, but they are certainly a team that Duquesne has to take seriously. And as you get towards the end of the schedule, this is a game that about a week span maybe that we've had scheduled on our calendars and kind of circled because, hey, Dayton's a big one as well as Davidson is a big one because of the standings.
No, 100%. And what I think is going to be worrying about this is, I mean, I'm sure I'll throw up probably the standings here and we'll probably talk about it in a little bit, but like where this is, Duquesne and Davidson are right next to each other. I mean, this game could shape up potentially what could be Duquesne having a chance to go on a run, and what could be a one and done day if they get the wrong matchup against say they get the 10 seed and the 10 seed is someone like say it's a GW, and GW has been having a lot of problems. They've had struggles closing out close games, but that team can outshoot just about anyone in the A10. So I mean, I bring it up like this because you have a chance to secure yourself a safe spot in the top 4, get 5th or 6th, and I think that will give you a lot more confidence to roll than having to be a 7 seed and go up against a team that definitely could pull off an upset. So, I mean, this game is as crucial as it gets against a team that you have beaten once, but you've talked about it historically. They just have not done well against as a whole.
No, not at all. In fact, the last time they beat them was before COVID at home. So they only have 1 win against them at home, and that was before COVID. That was back when Duquesne was undergoing renovations on the Palumbo Center at the time. That meant they played their games at Moon Township at RMU. So, certainly was a wild time. However, it was the last time Duquesne had won at home against the Davidson Wildcats. I hope to end that tonight. I guess, tonight, whenever you're watching.
That's the goal, hopefully.
But let's go to around the A10 because, as we brought it up, this is a crucial stretch for Duquesne, but also for a lot of different teams around the league. When you look at the standings, that 5 through 9 area is jam-packed.
And the key thing about it was that there was a lot of shakeup this past weekend from the middle part of the table. St. Joe's just got a crucial win. Yes, it was against last place Loyola Chicago, but a win is a win. And now they're sandwiched with George Mason and Dayton fighting for those last 2 spots in the top 4. You had Fordham upset Davidson, which that one I think was the biggest. Well, no, it wasn't the biggest shock, but it was still a big shock. Seeing Fordham come away with a clutch win, I think one that Fordham. That kind of statement when I think Fordham's been looking for this season, and besides the St. Joe's game, and that's as crucial of a win as you can get. And I think possibly saved Fordham from having to play the first day. Might give them 8th place potentially. They've been really playing some solid basketball down the stretch against Davidson. You had LaSalle. I think that's the story everybody's going to talk about. LaSalle, who has just been playing just bad basketball around this year, beat Rhode Island in probably what was the most surprising game of the day, 59-46. Rhode Island only managed 46 points.
I think if you know Rhode Island basketball, it is ironically the least shocking.
It is.
We knew it was probably going to happen.
I guess that is true. I joked about it that they've beaten Dayton, St. Louis, and George Mason, and they've lost to LaSalle twice and Loyola Chicago. I got nothing for that. And then to wrap it up, probably the wildest score of a game that really doesn't have much consequence, but it could. Richmond pulled off a big win, which still gives them a chance to get out of the basement or out of the first day.
Well, yeah, combined with that Rhode Island loss, they're now only a game behind them.
It gives them a chance as they are 5-10 to Rhode Island's 6-8. Where they beat St. Bonaventure, and again, the Bonnie's nightmare season has just been spiraling, and it's spiraling. I feel really bad. I mean, 99-94 is maybe like you see that score, and then you look at the LaSalle Rhode Island game. What a wild duo of games. You know what I mean?
Yes. The problem is with the Rhode Island with Richmond is that they don't have the tiebreaker over Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. They lost twice to them this year, so they'll need 2 games. They'll need 2 games to get over that hump of the pillow fight once and for all. So we'll see how that ends up going. I think a lot is yet to be decided within the first day, and who's going to play who and what seed Duquesne's going to come away with.
Yeah.
Their final games after this are on the road at St. Louis and Rhode Island. And then coming back home for senior day against Richmond. So that should be a schedule where, you're looking to get 2 out of 3. Obviously, 2 out of the 3 games are on the road. So to go 1-2 is not like the most unbelievable thing ever. However, when you look at what they were last year, you want to improve, right?
Yeah.
And to technically improve off of last year's mark, which was 8-10 in conference play, you literally just can't lose the final 4 games. If you win 1, it's an improvement for the regular season. However, with a Dukes team like this, it would probably be pretty disappointing if they were not able to get out of the first round, or the second round per se, but technically would be one and done in a sense. And the tournament would be pretty disappointing if you were Drew Joyce and the Duquesne Dukes. So certainly a lot left to be played and a lot on the line this year, but Duquesne has already made an improvement. In a sense, they're 13-19 last year overall, which is shocking. I don't even remember being 13-19. Wow. I don't even remember it being that bad, but I guess it was. It's you don't see things as being that bad until you're kind of out of it.
Yeah.
And now we are with a bird's eye view. Yeesh. Let's go to our players to watch for both sides. And I will start with Nick.
Davidson?
Yes, yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go with somebody
I did one part, you said the other part. I'll start with you. You start with Davidson.
Attaboy, sir. I'm going to start with someone who gave Duquesne fits through the first game, and that is Parker Fredrickson. He has been nothing short of tough to deal with. And the one thing I think that's underrated about how Davidson plays is their three-point shooting. Because one thing that's not talked about much, they don't take a lot of threes. In fact, they're middle of the pack for taking threes, but they are second in terms of three-point percentage at essentially 38%. The only team shooting better than them in the A-10 at the three-point line is St. Louis. And St. Louis has taken about 90 more threes, which is insane to think. And then I think where it's also been crucial, they are fourth in terms of opponent three-point percentage. So this is a team that is very good with handling the perimeter on both sides of the ball. So I think having a guy like Parker Fredrickson, who not only is just a phenomenal shooter as a whole, he put up 19 against Duquesne. He's averaging over 10 points. He has just been, he's shooting 44% from the three-point line, which is just absurd for a guy like this. So I think if you're going to have any chance of winning, this is a guy you have to lean on if you're Davidson. You leaned on him a decent in the first game. You got to lean on him again in what's going to be potentially a do-or-die moment for Davidson if they want to get a top 6 spot in the A-10.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that one. Now, little known fact of this matchup for me, I guess, a fun fact here. I've seen Sam Brown play in person. And also, second fun fact, yes, he actually is related to Brett Brown. I saw
really?
Brett. Yes, he is. This was after Brett Brown had gotten fired. So he was sitting in the very top of the arena. He did not want to be seen. I guess probably because of how things ended. He had just gotten fired too. It was pretty fresh after it was the year after Doc Rivers and Ben Simmons just had that falling out. So everyone was mad at everyone in the organization. So all that aside, when you watch this kid play, he's incredible at shooting the rock. And if now, for my Duquesne watchers here, you watch him on December 30th drop over 20 points against the Dukes in that overtime loss. So this guy can shoot the ball really well. And it almost feels like whenever a team comes into the coop and starts shooting the ball well, especially against a team like Duquesne who has just been having fits shooting the ball for 3 out of the last 4 halves of game time, when you get a guy that's able to come in there and just hit a few quick threes to start a game off, and he has the potential to do so, it's incredibly deflating. I think that Sam Brown possesses that capability, and there's a very good chance I think they would need Sam Brown to follow up on that 23-point performance against the Dukes at the tail end of 2025 with a great performance again in 2026. And this time, they hope to walk away with a win, and I think they very well could if they get that performance from Brown. So that's my player to watch. Let's move on to Duquesne. I'll go to Nick for his player to watch.
Yeah.
You're ready?
I am. And I know exactly who I'm going for because one key thing for me is the fact that this team killed themselves with just mental errors, turnovers, and just bad lapses of judgment in the Dayton game. So I'm looking for a game for that to be fixed. So I'm going to go with David Dixon for my guy to watch because the key thing for me is he has been incredibly efficient. He's been getting double digits in almost every game outside the Rhode Island game where he didn't score at all. But, he has just been a very efficient, just reliable player. But the key thing has been the fouls. He's had a lot of problems with fouls. In fact, the last 6 games he has played, fouled out 4, 4, 4, 4, and 4. This is a game where you got to keep it to 3 or less because when he is not out on the court, that problem is felt. I love Jakob Netjes and John Hughley, but they're just not. When you're having to deal with some of the better bigs in the conference, they have not been able to match. Like Dave's been the only guy who's been able to match up defensively on a lot of these bigs down low. So
Yeah.
This is the guy you need out on the court as much as you physically can. You need this guy to give you 25 to 28 minutes a game. And the last four between with GW, St. Bonaventure, LaSalle, and Dayton, he's only been able to give about 20 because a decent problem has been the fouls. I think when he is not getting in foul trouble, he is one of the most consistent players in the entire A10. This guy doesn't lead the A10 in games played for a reason. I mean, this guy has been as sturdy and as much of a rock for Duquesne, and that is someone I'm leaning on as my player to watch for the Davidson game.
Absolutely. Dave Dixon, the leader in wins in Duquesne history, and he certainly needs to have a big one in his second to last home game ever as a Duquesne Duke. So a lot riding on this one for Duquesne and Dave, hoping to get this team back on track after their 5-game win streak was snapped on Saturday. I'm going to go with Jake DeMichael. I don't think either of us have picked him this year, but here's a little known fun fact. His season high, now let me confirm that it was his career high. No, it was not, because he had 21 against Milwaukee. His season high in 23-24, which was the only other year we've been able to see him get a full conference season under his belt, because he got hurt in non-conference last year. The team he did it against was Davidson with 15. And then if you just look at his role this year, it's not as large, right? He's coming off the bench, but he has to contribute in different ways. And I think this has been a lot of fun to kind of see him in this new role. And you're kind of getting launched back to 23-24 with some of the plays he's making. You're like, this is the kind of plays he was making at a consistent level when they were able to make that run. He had 6 in the last game against Dayton. I can remember about half those buckets because they were both equally important. Had 7 against Bonaventure on the road, 7 against George Mason, and we thought you can think back to those buckets. They all felt very massive at the moment that they were scored.
No, 100%.
He hasn't done that exactly at home yet, with the exception of the Rhode Island game, which, sorry, I was not at. So, from me, what I've seen, I haven't been able to see him have that type of game at home. I think it'd be very valuable if Duquesne could get another vintage DeMichael performance here in what could be, quite frankly, a seed-deciding game. If Duquesne loses this game, they could find themselves 7 or 8. If not, you're right back in play for a double bye if you get some help from George Mason and Dayton. Because, hey, you have the tiebreaker against George Mason. Who's saying that with the slide that George Mason is on, you can't slip past them? We shall see, but I like Duquesne's odds at winning 2 of their final 3 if they're able to win this one. I've already phoned in St. Louis, but also they only lost them by 4. However, St. Louis is a wagon, so
They are playing.
I gotta be honest, I'm not expecting anything there, especially at SLU. Let's get to our game picks. I honestly thought that Duquesne was going to find a way. For some reason, I just had this feeling that they were going to find a way to beat Dayton. No. So, I am now under 500. I am at 500. I am 2-2. Nick is now 3-1. However, I'm sure he's happy to be above 500 because it came at the cost of a Duquesne loss. So, let's see if Nick can improve on that, or if I can get back even, or if we'll even have the opportunity to. We'll start with Nick with his game picks for Duquesne Davidson.
This one, I think, of all the rest of the season, I think is going to be the hardest one to gauge.
It's a tough prediction.
These two are probably, I would say, this is the team I think Duquesne matches up the most evenly against, outside of maybe GW.
Proof is in the pudding, too.
And maybe
there was a double overtime game to prove that.
Outside of George Mason and George Washington, I think they match up about as evenly as it gets against Davidson. And it's really hard to look at the history. It's kind of the reason I leaned towards picking Dayton last time. But you know what? I'm breaking history. If Duquesne wants this, I know they are capable of getting it. They found a way last time on the road. I know they have not been as good at home, especially in conference play. I know they've been able to step up and deliver some big moments. I mean, they've played better at home, even if it's been a little sketchy the last 2 games against GW and LaSalle. So Give me Duquesne to beat Davidson. I'm saying a final score of 76-73. It's going to come down to the wire again. I am expecting that to be that way for probably the next 3 games, honestly. I think all 3 of Davidson, St. Louis, and Rhode Island are going to be stressful. But this game in specific, I mean, I think they are capable of doing it. So give me Duquesne. And let's hope I'm 4-1.
So I'm also going to go with Duquesne, and I'll tell you what, I had a change of heart. I had a change of my mind probably 15 seconds ago. Originally, was going to go with Davidson because, listen, you play a team that you're so evenly matched with twice. You beat them in their own house when they're honoring their best player in program history. You got to let a little more motivation, right?
Yeah.
However, to this point, you asked me 2 weeks ago, I tell you, yeah, Davidson probably wins because Duquesne has had a tough time winning these games down the stretch at home. That has not been the case. And so when I'm presented now with information that tells me, hey, they can pull this out, I'm not going to ignore it. I think Duquesne does pull this one away, and I do think it's a close one, but I think you tack on a couple of free throws at the end, and it becomes a 2-possession win. 67-62 is my final score prediction. The Dukes get it done. We'll see if we're both right or we're both wrong. It won't affect the 1-game lead Nick has on me, but either way, we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching the Duquesne Sports Pregame Show. For Nick Fernball, I'm Jack Morgan. Enjoy the game, everyone.